Well, our topic is turning waste into treasure, sustainability education on solid waste recycling. This is our catalog. It has 6 parts. They are context, the importance of sustainable education on recycling, relate to sustainability, learning approaches, activity, and intended outcomes. Firstly, I will introduce our context. With the development of industrialization and urbanization, the amount of municipal solid waste is also increasing rapidly, which is a thorny problem all over the world. According to statistics, the global growth rate of MSW is as high as 8.42%, and the amount of MSW is expected to increase from 1.3 billion tons per year to 2.2 billion tons per year in 2025. Therefore, China is no exception, especially in metropolises such as Shanghai, where the production of large amounts of municipal waste has always been a major factor affecting the environment. As a result, Shanghai's regulations on garbage sorting came into effect on July 1, 2019. However, back in the late 1980s, the reduction of municipal waste has been a basic requirement for sustainable development as envisaged by the government. Integrating waste recycling into solid waste management systems, facilitating the reuse of waste that is eventually transferred through source separation is a very effective way to achieve waste reduction. When discussing environmental and sustainability issues, we usually introduce the reasons for large industrials governments. On the contrary, it is everyone's responsibility to protect the environment and live a sustainable life, which needs to be introduced at the early stage of education. Therefore, we aim at primary school students living in Shanghai, hoping to make them understand the benefits of recycling solid waste for sustainable development of the environment through a series of educational activities. The teaching process can also expose primary school students to novel environmental protection ideas so that they can personally experience and establish the idea of sustainable development of the environment through novel activities at the early stage of education. This is a critical step towards building a highly environmentally conscious city of the future. Next, I will explain why it is important to integrate a focus on educating for sustainability relates to our context. The current rate of global population resource consumption is unsustainable. We are currently using more land to provide goods and services than the planet can support. That is, we are consuming natural capital. In discussion of sustainable development, the calculation of ecological footprints has had a huge impact in the 21st century by quantifying how much regenerative biological capacity is being consumed by human activities, and thus identifying places where national and global consumption exceeds environmental limits. More specifically, this model allows people to calculate and show whether countries and individuals are consuming too much or too little of the Earth's resources. In addition, one can calculate at what time of year we have run out of the Earth's resources and start nibbling away at next year's, thus going into debt. Therefore, a major change in current thinking and practice at all levels of society is needed to ensure intergenerational equality. That is, the quality of life for future generations should be at least as good as today's, which is important for the education of children. Especially children suffer the most from unsustainable practices such as water and energy shortages, biodiversity loss, and food security, which have the potential to undermine their current and future choices. So it is necessary to instill in children the importance of sustainable use of Earth's resources as an immature stage of primary school, so that it is easier to establish a collective awareness of environmental practice. Turn waste into treasure, and the resources can be passed on for future generation. Then my partner will introduce the next part.
Well, in this part, I will introduce the sustainability related to our context. In the United Nations Brundtland Report, sustainability was defined as sustainable development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And the environment sustainable development is the process of equipping students with the knowledge and understanding, skills and attributes needed to work and live in a way that safeguards environmental, social, and economic well-being, both in the present and for future generations. Through the definitions and introduction of the previous part, here we divided our context into two parts to relate it to the sustainability. The first part is about the sustainability in recycling education. Waste management is an essential part of sustainable development, and education on this matter is vital to conserve resources for future generations, reduce carbon dioxide emissions, protect the environment, and safeguard human health. At present, there are many countries have incorporated waste management and recycling into the education practice of communities and schools, such as recycling activities and students e-waste recycling activities in Romania. The programs of WRAP and incentive measures in the UK and early childhood recycling education program in Germany. Although no compulsory measures have been taken in these examples, the implementation area have achieved better with recycling results. These studies have proved the feasibility and necessity of recycling education and have brought some license to our activities. Then the second part is about the sustainability in children's recycling education. In our context, our education target group is elementary school students. In the study of primary school students and sustainable education, the fundamental importance of the early years for the development of lifelong pro-environmental attitudes and the unique affordance of early childhood education to foster environmental knowledge and skills capitalizing on children's curiosity about the world was beginning to be recognized. And in this way, elementary school students have the plasticity of environmental awareness and saving habits. Such activities can help them realize awareness in daily life so that they can start from daily garbage and improve the waste of resources around them step by step. At the same time, their curiosity and sufficient time and energy also as the driving force that promoted them to explore more about recycling. Sustainable development is a lasting project. Choosing to cultivate the conservation awareness and habits of future Earth owners can develop a sustainable timeline and promote the communication and inheritance of resource conservation awareness, because the child is regarded not just as the future citizen, but as a full member of society with influence on his or her own life and that of other people. In the next part, I will introduce the learning approaches we use in our context. The first one is place-based learning. Some contemporary editors believe that in order to gain the appeal of sustainable development education in schools and communities, a variety of teaching methods must be adopted, because traditional teaching methods are not sufficient to solve the complexities of sustainable development. Place-based inquiry can introduce students to sustainable practice on the planet, and much of the learning that students do in this regard can begin outdoors. In this project, we will use this method to integrate the knowledge of resource conservation and design of turn waste into treasure factory tour activity, so that primary school students can learn about resource conservation topics outside the campus under the leadership of their parents. The approach can connect students' learning and living in the community, allowing students to see with their own eyes how solid waste in life turns into valuable objects, thereby training them to continue consciousness and thinking of solid resource use value. Such teaching is also essential for learners to develop morality and learning. In addition, the multidisciplinary nature of place-based study allows hands-on learning and authentic environmental and cultural lessons that engage students. Therefore, we design some hands-on parts in the factory tour activity. For example, collect plastic bottles for points, which will help students to combine the problem of resource waste with the familiar surrounding environment, so that they would have a deeper understanding of the importance of resource conservation. Also, the hands-on part can efficiently cultivate students' sense of personal responsibility and environmental awareness. The second one is intergenerational learning. This method has always been important and continues to be the center of education in increasingly complex societies within a globalized world. This way of learning is mainly through the elders teaching their experience or skills to the younger generations, so that the younger generations can assume the corresponding responsibilities for this experience and skills. In this way, through their practical activities, boys and girls contribute as active agents to the transformation of cultural tools, practice, and institutions that shapes the historical and dynamic nature of community life. This learning method also requires interaction. Therefore, while the elders incorporate their experience and skills. They will also absorb some advanced knowledge from the younger generations and produce changes in behavior or concept. In view of this, we hope that through the establishment of some parent-child handicraft exhibitions, through the use of waste solid resources, parents and children can create together. During the period, parents can teach environmental production and design related experience and skills. Also, children can provide creative ideas to form information exchange, which has stimulated both parties to have more views on the reuse value of waste solid resources.
Based on previous studies for approaches, we consider list-based learning more appropriate for our topic and developed a detailed activity plan based on this approach. That is, an anti-cooperation to set up parent-child factory visit days for primary school students in Shanghai. Why do we choose ANTA? Because ANTA is a Chinese brand with high popularity, and it's a chief public welfare partner with WWF, and more importantly, recycle with plastic bottles to make recycled polyester fabric. And according to the news, 11 plastic bottles can be exchanged into one t-shirt. And here is the activity flow chart. Firstly, we need the school propaganda. And then we start our parent-child factory visit days. Every children who visits the factory can be given a collect points card to collect bottles, then collect the points. And if they collect all the points, they can use the card to exchange for eco-friendly t-shirt. And the children can sell on the t-shirt to make them unique. And there are 3 ways to publicity: schools, advertisements, and parents. We think that the school's publicity is the best choice because we can communicate with the schools, and the teachers in the schools can communicate with the parents and the children. Here are some detailed information for the parent-child factory visit day. About the tickets, we don't sell any tickets. We just exchange the tickets. 15 plastic bottles can be exchanged for 1 ticket, and 1 ticket is for 1 child and 1 parent. About the security, children should be accompanied by their parents, and the parents should read and sign the safety notes. And besides that, all of the machinery would be fenced off. But about the dangerous machinery, they will be shaded in glass. About the protection of privacy, because we all know that all of the factories have their security and privacy. Only some production lines of related environmental protection products be opened. And here is the sample of our points card. As you can see, there are 5 points in total, and you can use 15 plastic bottles to exchange 1 point. And if you collect all the 5 points, you can exchange the point card into an eco-friendly t-shirt like this. And you can sell on the t-shirt to make it unique. It's really interesting. And the 6th part is about the intended outcomes. To the children, there are about 5 outcomes. The first one is learn about environmental protection. It is the basic one. And the second one is cultivate recycling awareness. And the third one is know the resource waste. Because through this activity, they can know that there are a lot of waste around them in the daily lives. And the fourth one is intergenerational learning makes the learning better. Because as what I said before, it's a parent-child factor within it. So both the children and the parents can learn from this activity. Next one is have knowledge and have fun in this interesting activity. Firstly, collect the plastic bottles and then exchange for the coins. And they can use the card to exchange the t-shirt and then sell on the t-shirt to make it unique and interesting. In this interesting activity, they can both get fun and knowledge. And to the parents, they can strengthen environmental protection education for children in daily life, because they also learn a lot from this activity. And in the daily life, they can tell the children what to do and what should not to do. And the second one is they can be good examples. For the schools, there are also 2 outcomes. The first one is to add more interesting knowledge learning activities like this. The learning not too boring. And the second one is to enhance environmental education to the children. Schools have the responsibilities to teach the students learn more about the environmental protection. And here are the references. Thank you for your listening. If you want to learn more about this topic, our blogs may provide some references for you.